Hello! In today's maths lesson, we are going to be looking at turning seconds, however many seconds, into however many minutes, however many minutes into however many hours. And we're going to be using division to do that. And I want us to understand how to use division, but also why. Why are we using division? Now, to start off with, one of our skills in today's lesson is going to be dividing by 60. Dividing by 60. So here's the first calculation. Can you see it here? 120 divided by 60. And let's remember, what does it mean, divide by? Well, it means how many groups of 60, how many 60s make 120. And to do that, what do we need to remember? Which times table is going to help us? Yes, the sixes. So look, I've got my 6 times table here. 1 times 6 is 6, 2 times 6 is 12. So if we write down here the multiples of 6, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, can you see that when we count in 60s, it's just like counting in 6s, isn't it? And why is that? Because 60 is just 6 tens. So we count not 6 but 60. Not 12 but not 12 tens, 120. Not 18, 18, look, 18 tens, 180. 240, 24 tens. Not 30, but 300. Can you see? That's going to be very important in our lesson today. So, I still haven't answered my question. 120 divided by 60. How many 60s are there in 120? Well, 1. Jump of 60 from 60, 2 60s gets to 120. 120 divided by 60 is 2. If we look at the inverse operation, 2 times 60 equals 120. 180 divided by 60. Now we're asking, how many 60s are there in 180? 1, 2, 3. 60, 120, 180. Our answer is 180 divided by 60 is 3. 3 times 60 is 180. Okay, that's going to be important. So make sure you learn your 6 times table and remember that counting in 60s is just like counting in 6s. So, why is that going to be useful? Well, because today we're going to remember all the way through 1 hour is made up of 60 minutes and 1 minute is made up of 60 seconds. So that conversion, one of these for 60 of these, 60 of these in one of these, is going to be important. Remember what we've been learning? When we used a bar model, we saw 1 minute. We drew 1 bar to represent 1 minute. We put 60 seconds inside. 1 minute, 1 times 60 is 60 seconds. When it was 2 minutes, it was 2 lots of 60 seconds, 120 seconds. 3 minutes, 3 groups of 60 seconds, 180 seconds. 4 minutes, 4 lots of 60 seconds is 240 seconds. We're counting up in equal groups. Every group is 60 seconds, so we're counting in multiples of 60, just like the 6 times table. Okay, so I've got one of my little conversion pictures here, and it shows me 3 minutes is 180 seconds. 3 times what makes 180? Remember, each minute is 60 seconds. 3 times 60, 3 minutes, times 3 times 60 seconds, 180 seconds. How do we go back 180 seconds to go back to the minutes? It's inverse operations, isn't it? Remembering that dividing is the inverse of multiplying. It does the opposite. So 180, how do we make that into 3? Well, we're not times by 60, we are dividing by 60. So we're starting with the whole number of seconds, 180, dividing it by 60. Remember, 180 divided by 6. How many 60s make 180? Well, we count up 60, and another 60, 180, so 120. Yeah, 3. 3 times 60 makes 180. Okay. Pause the video. You have a go. Can you fill this one in? Have a go. What should go in the blanks? Well, remember, this is now hours and minutes, but it is the same method because 60 minutes make 1 hour. So 4 hours, 4 times 60 minutes is 240 minutes. 4 times groups of 60 minutes makes 240 minutes. When we want to go back from the minutes to the hours, we are not timesing by 60, but dividing, the inverse, the opposite. 240 minutes divided by 60. How many 60s? When we count up in 60, how many 60s do we have to count? 60, 120, 180, 244. Okay, 240 minutes is 4 hours. Ooh, here we have, what should we do here? 360 minutes is how many hours? What have we got to do? What have we got to do? We count up in multiples of 60. That's right. So we need to count up 360. So we need to get our fingers out. I've drawn it here. So 60, 1, 120, 180, 240, 300, and one more finger. It's okay. How many groups of 60? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each of those is 1 hour, isn't it? So 360 divided by 60, 6 hours. Each group, each time we count in 60, we're really counting another 60 minutes. Oh no, what about this one? 540 minutes. My number line doesn't go all the way up to 540. Remember the 6 times table. It doesn't need to. 9 times 6 is 54. So 54 divided by 6 is 9. 540 divided by 60 is 9. That's right. 540 minutes is 9 hours. Level 2. When the number of minutes or seconds is not a multiple of 60. 72 seconds. 72 is not a multiple of 60. Not on the 60 times table. 170 minutes is not on the 60 multiples of 60. So we still need to think about multiples of 60, but we'll find that we've also got a remainder. And I would suggest trying to think about it like this. You might want to draw this out on your paper, or just think about it like this in your mind. Here's our first question. 170 minutes is how many hours and how many minutes left over? So my first thing I've got to notice, 170 minutes, that is not a multiple of 60. So where would I put it on this number line? This is the key question, which multiples of 60 is it between? Hmm. 170 minutes. Which multiples of 60 is it between? So we count up in our 60s. Okay, well, 60, that will be 1 hour. 120, 2 hours. But hold on. 170 minutes is between 120 and 180. In fact, 170 is probably around there. It's before we get to 180. So we've got to think to ourselves, 170 minutes is between which multiples of 60? Well, look, it's between 120 minutes and 180 minutes. 170 minutes is between 120 and 180 minutes. And that means it's between 2 hours and 3 hours. 2 hours and 3 hours. So 170 minutes. 170 is more than 120, so it's more than 2 hours. It's less than 3 hours. How many more than 2 hours is it? 2 hours is 120. So we're thinking 120 minutes. Add how many minutes? Makes 170 minutes. If you do 170, take away 120, it's 50 minutes more than 2 hours. So 170 minutes is 2 hours and 50 minutes. 2 hours and 50 minutes. Do you see? The important thing is to think, which multiples of 60 is it between? So let's look at this one. 200 minutes. You've got to think to yourself, if I count up in 60 minutes, which multiples of 60 is it between? Well, where's 200 on this number line? It's between 180 and 240. Well, 200. Counting up, I counted, didn't I? 60, 120, 180, but 240 is more than the minutes I've got. So 200 is between 180 and 240 minutes. It's between 180 minutes, that's 3 hours, and 240 minutes, which is 4 hours. Okay, 200 minutes is how many more than 180 minutes? So I could do 200, take away 180, is 20 minutes. Or I could have said 180 minutes add what makes 200 minutes? 20. Alright, so, 200 minutes is 20 minutes more than 3 hours. Should have said this. 200 minutes is more than 3 hours, less than 4 hours. So, we can count 3 whole hours to get to 180 minutes. 3 hours and 20 more minutes. Does it make sense? 315 minutes. Can you think? Which multiples of 60 is it between? 315 minutes. Well, counting up. 60, 120, 180, 240, 300. Oh, 360 is too far. It's more than 315. So 315 minutes is between 300 and 360 minutes. That means 300 minutes is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. And 360 minutes, 6 hours. So it's more than 5 hours, less than 6 hours. Now, do you remember 315 would be here? So we'd say it's 300 minutes is 5 hours plus 15, because it's 15 minutes more than 5 hours. It's 5 hours and 15 minutes. Some children find it easier to imagine a part-whole model for this. I've done a seconds example here, but we've still got to count up in 60s, because it's still 60 seconds making 1 whole minute. 72 seconds. What's the nearest multiple of 60 that is below 72? Well, if I count up 60, 120, no, it's too many. So 60. And then 60 add what makes 72? 12. So that means one group of 60 and 12 seconds. 1 minute and 12 seconds. Because 60 divided by 60 makes 1. 1 minute and 12 seconds. And you see this one, 265 seconds. Well, I'm going to quickly write out my 60 times table to help me. 60, 120, 180, 240. Oh, I think if I say my next one, it'll be too far. 300. Yes, look, that's more than 265 seconds. I'm not going to say that one. I'm going to say one group of 60 makes 60, 2 times 60, 120, 3 times 60, 180, 4 times 60, 240. So I'm going to split it into 240, which is 4 times 60, so that is 4 hours. And then how many more? Because this is the whole amount, the whole number of seconds, 265. Take away 25. Sorry, I wrote hours there and I meant to say minutes and 25 seconds. So it's 4 minutes and 25 seconds. Okay, everybody. Not the easiest one to have a go at today. If anyone is not sure, make sure you leave a message in Google Classroom. The most important thing is to count up in your multiples of 60. Say how many multiples of 60 can we make and how many left over. Here is your work. Give it a good go, everyone. Keep going. Bye.